Fantastic. Hey, listen, I'm sorry. I noticed you jumped into the Zoom a little bit earlier, but I wasn't there in time. I apologize.
Yeah, no problem. I watched your videos, John, and the thing is, I mean, I have the money to pay for the course, and I have the money to pay for the monthly fee, and I have that, but pretty much I just build fences. That's all I do, and that's all I really know about. Nobody ever taught me about contracting or any of that other stuff. You know what I'm saying? So I made an awful lot of money building fences, and I pretty much do exactly what you do or have done with the government. Is I get contracts, I have subcontractors build the fences. It's pretty easy. But I know about building the fences, and I can actually build them. You know what I mean? So I usually make more money because I take my own knuckleheads and I pay them less money and I oversee the job. You see what I mean?
Sure.
So, and I don't know, I mean, I doubt very seriously that most of the building contracts with the federal government, I assume, will be bigger projects with other stuff that I don't know about. You know what I mean? I'm not afraid of. I had to buy liability insurance to do contracts and permits. I'm not worried about what it takes to get the contracts. You know what I mean? I'm not worried about that because I know the money's there. You know that's what I do anyways. You know what I mean? I jump out there, I spend the money so that I can get to work. You know, and then I make all the profit. You know, so I mean I understand that part, but I don't know much about. I don't know building. I don't know building codes. I don't know any of that stuff. I don't know how to build a freaking building. I don't know how to build a pergola. I don't know how to do concrete. I don't know how to do any of that stuff. You know what I mean?
You want to know
So,
a secret?
yeah.
I don't know how to do any of that shit either. I've
I
done
get
a
it.
I've done $1 billion worth of work for the federal government, but let's just take fencing since that seems to be your expertise. Okay, I don't know anything about fencing, but suppose I turned in a bid for, you know, I know a little bit of the vocabulary of fencing, so let's just say I turn in a bid for $200,000 to do some fabric fence. Okay,
Yeah.
and let's just
Mm-hmm.
say that it's got some concentrine wire or something, some kind of razor wire on the top of it. Okay,
Right. Mm-hmm.
and so I bid this job for 50,000 or $100,000 or some amount of money. Based on the videos that you've seen so far of my stuff, what's my risk for turning in that bid?
No, I seen all that. I noticed that. There's just no risk for turning in the bid.
Okay,
You only you
hold
only
on.
make money if you get the job. I seen that. That's pretty remarkable.
Okay, but
You
hold
make,
on. You didn't let me finish. So the answer to the
go ahead.
question that I asked is you're at zero risk. But then the next part of it is if I called you and said, "Hey Bobby, I'm looking at this job. It's to do this fabric fence. They want some razor wire on the top." Is that the kind of business that you're in? And
Uh,
and you're going to tell me
Somewhat,
yes
yeah.
cuz you can
Yeah,
figure out
somewhat,
how to
yeah.
do fencing, right?
Yeah.
So
I mean, there are
what's
aspects of my job that I don't know how to do that I just pay someone else to do.
what's the
It's true.
difference between what I'm doing, calling you trying to figure out how to get a fence done, and you calling somebody to figure out how to get an air conditioning job done?
I guess nothing.
The-
Nothing, John. I know. I know that. That's why it's so. It's pretty fucking cool. I get it. You know, I get that. That's why. I mean, the more I watch of your videos, the more I'm like, okay, I could do that. But shit, you're dealing with the federal government now. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Look,
So it's
I'm not going to try and talk you into this, and I'm not going to try to talk you out of this. But if
yeah.
your only concern is, Jesus Christ, I don't know what the fuck that is. Well, that's the dumb read. Nobody knows what anything is until they start having conversations with people about it.
Yeah, I know. That's where you come in, and I get it. I totally believe that I'm not one of those guys who's all smart. You know what I mean? Like I don't know jack. You would have to show me all of it. I mean, that's the reality. I don't know it. I wouldn't know anything about it. I would be so empty of knowledge beyond the hustle, but besides doing exactly what you just said. I'm going to close the door. You're fine. I love you, girl. So, yeah, I don't have any, I don't have any, I don't have any knowledge about it whatsoever, Sean.
Well,
So yeah, the only thing that interests me, I'm not going to lie to you, the only thing that interests me is that it's the same skill set that I use now. Okay, it is, except I wouldn't probably have to go watch the job as much, but it's a lot more dollars. And sure, I started doing fencing. I didn't make very much money at first, but I learned how to, and then I make a lot of money. But yeah, I do mostly residential, and it is a pain in the ass. So doing the federal contract sounds really attractive, and I have to do training. I have to spend money because that's the only way to keep your tax money down. Does that make sense? What I'm saying?
listen.
And yeah, I want to make 20. I love it when I make $3,000 and $5,000 in a day, or $10,000 in 2 days. I would love to do a job and make $50,000 or $60,000 and never touch it or see it. Hell yeah!
Well, that's probably not going to happen doing local fencing contracts.
Yeah, I know. I know that. I know that. I know it's not. I have had one job in 4 years that I made 50 grand on. It took me 6 weeks. But regardless of that. So yeah, I get that. And I want to make a lot of money because that's what you got to have to live, you know? So that's the thing. And then I just like, man, I don't know if I can do it. And then it is a significant investment. Yes, I have the money.
It is. So
it's also an investment of time.
It is.
To do the, and then now you have to do the time. I would have to watch the videos. I have to go through the class. I have to do the training. I have to be willing to, call you and trust you that you're going to give me the answer that I need. All of those things have to happen, or I just wasted fucking $6,000. Or whatever it is, $5,000. And
well, wait a second. Look, you just got through telling me that making an investment like this is a write-off anyway. So.
Well, it is. It is a write-off, but it's still money that.
But here's the other thing.
Yeah.
What is the value of the education that you have gotten so far in the business of fencing? What's the value of it?
I have no idea.
Well, estimate it for me.
I can't.
If I wanted to buy your business today, how much would you sell it for?
I've had people approach me to buy my business, and I just told them no.
But did you ever sit in a hot tub and smoke a cigar and think about what that number would be?
No.
No.
No. Because I don't know how to calculate it.
Well, one way is just 5x what your revenue was last year.
5 times my revenue or 5 times my profit?
Well, give me both.
Well, if it was 5 times my revenue, it'd be 4.6 million, and if it was my profit, it would be 1.5.
Okay, so.
Or somewhere close to that.
Okay, so $5 million, you could buy your business. I could buy your business.
I would imagine that I wouldn't say no to that.
Okay, and then the next question is how long did you invest time-wise to build your business to where it's at today?
5 years.
Okay, so basically your time is worth $1 million a year in terms of revenue, right? Education-wise.
Okay.
Does that sound about?
I guess I'm following. I'm tracking what you're saying, Sean. It's not that. I'm tracking what you're saying. I seen your video, Sean. I seen it. Yeah, at first I was kind of a smart ass with you about, man, you're trying to sell me something, and you are. I get it, but I also see that, like you said in your video, this is your passion. That's the other thing that I have to worry about is that I care about my people, and I want to teach people to build, and I want to teach my guys to make more money. That's my passion. But I'm limited with my local resources. Because if I want to make money, they have to make less money. And so that doesn't work as far as at 5 years, I can't make them make more money because then I'll stop making money. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Because the market's only going to produce so much work. And I can only take so much of it. And there's only so many ways to pull it out of the market. And I'm not an expert at it, but I got pretty damn good pretty quick. And I don't even know what the market actually is, but I know there's a market. Does that make sense?
How old are you?
I'm 51.
Well, we're the same age. I'm 52.
Yeah.
What do you want to do for the rest of your life?
I have no idea.
You ought to start thinking about it.
I'm not going to lie to you, John. For the last 5 years, I've been doing what I wanted to do, is make plenty of money and have freedom. And that's free to me. I can dictate
is that going to go away anytime soon?
Don't know. You never know with the economy. Are people gonna still buy fences? Am I still gonna be able to capitalize on that market share? Does that make sense?
Well, it does. Because that's one of the questions you got to ask yourself: is the next 5 years going to be as good as the last 5 years? And if it's not, what are you going to do about it?
I have no idea, Sean. That's the thing. In the last 5 years, I didn't know where my next job was coming from, period. So I just went out there and got it. But it does open me up to a bigger pool,
Well, look, on the federal side, it's never going to go away. It's $1 billion a day. It's never going to go away. But that's besides the point. The question is right now, if you have the time and you have the money, why wouldn't you be taking steps, whether it's federal contracting or something else, to prepare yourself just in case things don't work out the way you might hope that they might?
That's a good question.
Well, look, I don't know of anybody else that you can just pick up the phone and talk to that can address this type of conversation, because I got no skin in the game. Whether you succeed or fail in this life, that doesn't matter. Yeah, it's all on you.
Yeah.
But you're talking to somebody who's done $1 billion worth of work with the federal government, so I can give you a hell of a lot of perspective on the opportunities there. But the opportunities are just that. For heaven's sake, you can go down the street and buy a hotel and get in the hotel business. There's 1 billion businesses out there that you can go into to create an income for yourself. But the only thing that I offer is just leveraging what you've already learned in the construction business, whether it's fencing, HVAC, any other trade. As long as you speak the language of a contractor, that's how you get into this business.
Right. I get it. That's the thing, is that gives me a dilemma. Am I willing to do what it takes to do it? Because that's what you got to be willing to do. You got to be willing to do what it takes, and that's what I have to do now. So this is just playing at a different level, making a different level of income if I am successful. So it's not like I'm worried about bidding every contract and winning every single one. You only have to land a few of them.
That's right.
And that's the same thing with me right now. I can do 100 estimates and get 10 contracts, but those 10 contracts are the ones that I got to worry about. You know what I mean? So, and them are the ones that pay me. And then there's all kinds of other little tricks that I learned, like developing relationships with people that can help you get leads and stuff like that. But this is a different thing where the leads are all there. You know what I mean? And I don't know what are on those contracts, and I don't know how to price them. That's the thing. And then I heard you say something about just find somebody there that does. You know, or on that where you're talking about. You don't know somebody that does something, you call the local preacher or some crap. You know.
It's not crap. I mean, the point
No, I'm
is.
not saying that it's crap. I'm just saying I'm not negative. I'm not being negative about it. I mean, that's exactly what I do. If somebody asks me to do something, I call one of my other people that I know may can do it. I'm like, hey, can you do this? And then I submit a bid.
Yeah, that's exactly what this
thing.
is.
Yeah, I know. That's the crazy thing about it, Sean. That's what's weird. That's what's weird, Sean.
Well.
So, I don't really need a Zoom call with you to believe in your system. You know what I mean? I just have to make sure in my heart and that I'm going to dedicate my time to doing it.
Well, that's not on me. That's
no, it's not. It's not, Sean. And you don't have to sell me on your system. I know that you sound like somebody. I mean, you can usually tell. You can tell when people are bullshitting you, and there's a different vibe. You have a great vibe. You sound like you know what you're talking about, and you probably do. And I believe that you do. You know what I mean? I do. I just have to deal with my own self and say, am I going to do it? Am I going to follow through with it? And am I going to do whatever it takes to do it?
Well, what was that decision? How did that work out for you in the fencing business? Because I fully believe that anything anybody's going to do in the future, you can always look to their past to see how you're going to perform. And so the question is you figured out the fencing business, right? You put the effort in.
I did.
And you expected a result based on your effort.
One opportunity at a time, Sean. Pray, trust God, and do the work. That's all I've done the whole time. And so, that's all I've done. It's fucking maddening. But when you talk about those numbers, the astronomical numbers of how few contractors there are to take such a large pool, then I can see the benefit of it.
Bobby, it's even worse than that. Here's the thing. In that video, I talk about the 25,000 registered federal contractors. Okay?
Yeah.
There's a very key metric that I don't talk about in that video. And the reason I don't talk about it is because it's essentially like if I walked into a video and said, "Hey, we're selling real unicorns here today. You should buy one of these unicorns." Okay?
Right.
Nobody would ever believe me if I said that. Okay?
Of course.
Now, here's the key metric. One of my guys went through the training and he called me up the day after and he said, "Sean, I want to know the real number today. I don't care if it's 10,000 or 25,000 or 50,000. Tell me the number of federal contractors today." I said, "Sure, give me a couple hours. I'll look it up. It's public information." So I got with my guy. And I said, "Go figure out this number." He comes back 2 hours later and he said, "Sean, it's 23,780. And I said, "Okay, good." And he goes, "Whoa, whoa, whoa." "What do you mean, whoa, whoa, whoa?" He said, "There's an interesting number here." I said, "Okay, tell me about it." He said, of the last 70,000 federal contracts, not dollars, 70,000 contracts, they were awarded to only 3,000 of the 25,000, or the 23,780. And I burst out laughing. And he said, "Why are you laughing?" Wow. I said, "Because that's the whole reason GCExperts exists. If you Google, I want to be a federal contractor, it overwhelmingly tells you have to be SAM registered. And so people figure that out, okay? But what they don't know is how to actually get a federal contract once you're SAM registered. And it's even worse than that, because why isn't the number cumulative? In other words, 25,000 this year, 30,000 next year, 50,000 the year after that. And the reason for that is because you have to renew your SAM registration every year. So imagine some guy walks along, gets SAM registered because he heard there's money in them there federal contracts, and then he doesn't get any because he doesn't know how to get them. And then next year it says, "Hey, time to renew." He looks at that and goes, "Screw that! It didn't get me anything." So that number varies from year to year, and I've seen it as low as 22,000. I've seen it as high as 27,000, but on average, it's about 25,000 a year.
Right. Like I said, it's not a matter of me not believing in your program or believing that you're capable. It's a matter of me deciding that I'm going to do it. Does that make sense?
Of course it does. I would never try to talk anybody into this thing.
You don't really have to, but because it's the numbers are there, and if somebody's about numbers, and that's what my whole job is. So my whole job is numbers, and then the numbers benefit me, or if I have to make the numbers benefit me. So that's all it is. It's just numbers. It's just numbers. That's it. That's all it is. It's simple math. I mean, the application of getting through it is not simple, but it all boils down to simple numbers.
Well, I would argue that the process is pretty simple also, but...
Well, of course. That's why you're doing what you're doing, because it is a simple process for you. And I get that. And I think there's a lot of value in what you're doing. And then I have the other aspect of my life, which is I'm married to a very wonderful woman, and anything I do, she has to be okay with. So if it's stepping out, if it's spending $500 or $50 or $10,000, or hell, I just bought a boat, and I didn't buy the boat until she was okay with the boat, and then I bought the boat, and now I have a boat. You know what I mean? So it's not a matter of just, am I going to do it? Am I going to be willing to do it? Is my wife also going to be willing to say, okay, that's cool? Because she has to agree with it. And then I know that's a difficult thing, but she has to be okay with everything that I do as well. You know what I mean?
Of course.
So, and then you also know that I've been successful nearly at everything I've ever tried and applied myself to. And that's what I teach my sons. Just do your best. You'll figure it out. Do the work and you'll figure it out, and you'll get good at it. You know? That's it. So, yeah. So, Sean, I mean, that's why, I canceled the Zoom meeting because, okay, now my wife has a conference call. She's been at AT&T for 30 years. She's a senior IT, whatever, engineer, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, okay, I'm going to cancel my call because she's got this important conference call, and that's okay because, that's what you do.
Sure.
And now I'm on the phone with you. So the thing is, like I said, I like to make a lot of money. But making a lot of money is what kept me doing what I've been doing, because I never had no opportunity to make any money. I have a high school education, GED, but I went through other schooling. I became a counselor and all that stuff. But that shit didn't amount to anything. You know what I mean? So, yeah, so there's my dilemmas, Sean. Does that make sense? So now, rather than, I don't want to spend too much of your time is pretty valuable. What I need to do is just let my wife see the videos that I watched. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, that sounds like a great idea.
Does that make sense what I'm saying to you, Sean? So I let my wife watch it and then see, okay, can I get her on board with it? And if she is, then boom, I'll do it. It's that easy. I got space, I got time, I got desire, and I got motivation. I just have to make sure my wife is on board with that too. You see? And I have the money. It's not a matter of not having the money. I waste more money on stupid shit than I would waste if I went through your class and didn't do anything. You see what I mean?
I do.
That's the part. Yeah. So that's where I'm at with that.
Okay. Well, you got any questions?
Not really, Sean. I actually believe in you, really, to tell you the truth. You know what I mean? I kind of do, and that's kind of crucial.
Well, I always tell people that You only have to make two decisions when you have any conversation with me. Number one, you have to decide if I'm full of shit or not. Because if you decide I'm full of shit, there is no reason to go to number two. And then number two is you got to decide, am I the kind of guy you'd want to work with in this business? Because personalities are different. You know, I'm not a coddler. I'm not the guy that goes, it's okay, Bobby, you'll get the next one. You know, I'm the guy that says, hey, Bobby, dude, I told you got to do this, this, and this in this order. Okay, write this down, because if you do it exactly as I tell you to do it, that's what's going to make this work. I'm that guy.
Yeah, that's the guy I am. I'm not a coddler. Because if you're not going to do the work, you're not going to reap the benefits. And that's the way it goes.
Yep.
I get it. Yeah, that's fine with me, Sean. I kind of like your attitude. You know, I like every conversation that I had with you, whatever it was actually not bad. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you don't seem to be a bullshitter. You know, and I like that. I do. You know, that's if you're going to trust somebody to lead you in some kind of way, you're going to have that, Sean. That's just reality. I have a lot of other education that I sought out on my own, but I learned all the shit on my own. So then you got to go, okay, now I'm going to learn some new shit from this other guy who's also like you, that's pretty much going to be pretty blunt. And that's okay. I like that. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
So if you don't fucking turn up the fire, if you don't fucking move the embers around in a fire, it doesn't burn.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So if you don't fucking stir some feelings up in somebody to have some desire, there's nothing going to be with the fire. I hope that made sense, Tom.
I completely agree with you.
So the whole thing is, all right, so I'm sold on your program, but I didn't even really need to be sold. I just needed to see the numbers because that's who I am. Okay? So all I got to do really is just give me a week or so and let me talk with my wife about it. Let me show her some videos, and then I got your number right here. It's saved in my phone, Sean, GCExperts.
Bobby, any deal that's good today is good years from now. Don't feel like you have to make some kind of decision in the next week or whatever.
No. I'm not concerned about a timeline. I'm just telling you that there's my obstacle, Sean. I live a real life. I have a real family. You know what I mean? I'm a real person, and I have a real business. And at the same time, I have to operate my business as well because that's my bread and butter right now. I'm sure that if I did what you do, that my business would probably just be something that somebody else did for me. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah. So, but I mean, I don't turn down money, even small money or large money. I want it all, you know, so because my guys need it. So anyways, all right, so I'm going to get off the phone with you, and I'm going to tell you that I appreciate you taking the time for me, that's very important to me, and that I appreciate it. And you'll hear back from me pretty soon.
Well, I'm here for you when you need me, Bobby.
All right, Sean, I appreciate your time.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.